Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of The Gift of Giving. My name is Stephen Murray, and I'm the host of this program. And I'd like to welcome this week. This is our second week in a row when we visit our friends up in northern Nevada. The second week, we've had somebody from the Reno Sparks area. And I'd like to welcome Callie Tadero. She's a director of Nevada Kids Foundation based up there in Sparks. So, welcome to the program, Callie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure for me to have you on the program too. Uh, would you like to give us a brief overview of the organization and the history of it and how long you've been around?
Absolutely. So we're a pretty new organization. We just finished our third year. We're a nonprofit that provides essential items and resources to youth across Northern Nevada. That takes shape in many different forms, with the ultimate goal being to empower children to live a life with greater hope, freedom, and opportunities for a successful future. Through that, we have different partnerships and programs that we facilitate with, again, a vision to create environments and communities where just kids have what they need. And we don't go into situations determining what that need is. We really like to hear directly from the people we impact and the groups we work with what their needs are so we can be creative and flexible and really fill those gaps and voids. We've been around since the summer of 2021. We came out of basically a crisis mode with the real estate crisis happening up here, the housing crisis, and then coming right out of COVID. So things were looking pretty grim here as far as resources and stuff, adding to stressors here. So it was a perfect time to jump in and figure out where can we creatively and effectively kind of plug in and help.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly to be commended for starting out when you did, because as you said, those were grim and dark days. Now, from what I can see, it looks like there's just you and Tyler
Yes.
that are running this organization. Just two people running this operation.
That's correct. We are grassroots. We are family oriented and connected through many different ways. So we basically started through Tyler's desire to spread out her giving that she had already been doing. So she's in the real estate world up here in Northern Nevada. She had been taking on individual families for Christmas each year, supplying clothes, essential items, whatever those needs were. And then each year, adding more and more families to the group, she realized this is too big to keep doing this by myself. I have some resources I would like to bring some help in, and let's see what we can do on a bigger level. So it really was just an idea of let's do more and help, but not necessarily a vision on what that would look like. So I was fortunate enough to be approached from pretty much day one. She and I developed the mission and the brand and just the idea of let's do some research in the community first before we decide what our role will be. So it was really cool to just start fresh. She and I never had any kind of philanthropic backgrounds. So we were basically researching what's a 501c3, how do you do this? What do these nonprofits do? Who's in the area working together, who's not working together. So from then on, she and I just developed an approach of how to be flexible and broad with our mission and really be like the community's nonprofit, helping everybody.
Wow, that's amazing. It just sounds like it kind of morphed, from something original, and now it's just gone off in all different directions, and you've made it go that way. And I was going to ask you, what was the catalyst for making you join? But I think you've already answered that. You were approached, and so have you been friends for a long time?
We're actually related
Oh, okay,
through marriage. So she and I have actually known each other for almost 17 years now. So it's actually really cool to have had the history between the two of us. We're raising our kids together. So we just are very passionate about the space that we're in, the place that we live in. She and I both come from very small rural routes. So it's just something that seems natural and really organic for her and I. It was perfect timing for me to go into this at the time that she was ready to think about doing something bigger. So I just think it was kind of heaven sent, very organic and a natural fit for her and I to kind of jump in and make an impact.
gotcha. Yes. Um, so you said you went out and you did all this research to find out the needs. Um, so what was the first program that you actually started getting off the ground?
So we just got started with the holiday drive because it was just the easiest kind of thing to wrap our heads around. It's kind of a no-brainer to make a list of items and go rally some support through local communities and business owners. So we just started there. We got our website going, and then within that 6 months of July, incorporating and then the holiday drive, we just got busy learning what organizations were here in the area and what their needs were during that time frame. So we ended up settling on a really cool partnership with the local homeless shelter. It was a unique and brand new situation for them. They had just gotten started, and it was catering to families and children. So this was a demographic that we were looking to impact. They had a huge selection of kids that were underserved and needing help. So it was a natural fit. So what we did was just say, hey, we're going to do this donation drive and see what we can get. And then we'll give it to you guys and kind of help facilitate you guys distributing it to the youth that come in and out of the shelter. We were blown away with that first drive. We had easily cleared over $65,000 worth of goods, both monetary and in-kind donations. We overwhelmed that shelter with items that they actually had things to pass out through the entire following year for the children's birthdays and different events. So we realized, A, we're pretty good at this, and B, it's cool to find unique partnerships and then maybe shift and figure out a new need and a new group to work with. So within that time frame, we realized, A, Northern Nevada is in bad shape, probably Nevada in general, I could say. There's so many gaps and voids. There's a lot of organizations that are wonderful, but there's just gaps regardless. So in order for us to kind of help in all the different ways that we thought we could, we decided to split our year up into 3 different giving cycles. So in the spring, we work on youth sports. In the fall is all education related. And the winter, we do this holiday drive that in essence supports all the shelters and foster homes, whether it be through Christmas care packages for the children or filling their pantries and stock rooms with much needed items like toiletries, bed-in-a-bags, clothing. So it's just a cool way for us to morph ourselves throughout the year, but also really efficiently fill the needs that pop up through different organizations.
Wow. Well, you say you raised $60,000 and you're pretty good at it. I'd say that's classic understatement. I would say that's outstanding on your first venture to raise $60,000. On that thought, we're going to take one brief sponsorship break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business. Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at pacificcoastcap.com.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, and I'd like to welcome back to the program Kelly Tadaro from Northern Nevada, Nevada Kids Foundation, focusing mainly on the children in the community up there. Let me ask you this, Kelly. How do families hear about you? How do they know that you got all these supplies? Do you reach out to them, or do social services refer people to you, or how does that work?
It really depends on the time of year. I would say our referrals go in and out quite a bit during the holidays with different organizations through case managers, social workers who are aware of us and aware of our holiday drive. But for the most part, it is word of mouth. We're still fairly new, so I think a lot of times people just aren't aware of that we're here, or in the sense aware of how broad we are, that we do impact kids all year long through several different levels of engagement. So I think it's just a matter of the timing of the year and what the project is. What's a little bit different for us that's kind of a unique challenge is we're not necessarily a community resource that would set up at a resource fair. We don't have like a stocked pantry full of items that we can go pull from, or necessarily funding that goes for just random kind of off requests. Our support comes more in the form of organizing our fundraisers around different goals. So we'll reach out to different groups and organize a particular goal that we'd like to accomplish. And then our funding gets directed specifically to that goal. So I think down the road, it's something we'd like to aim for, so that we are more accessible for the public to just reach out and say, hey, I need a pair of shoes, or hey, I need help with this registration or the sports equipment. So we do as much of that as we can, but it's not very easily accommodated just off the cusp for us.
No. When you have these fundraisers or drives, holiday drives and sports drives, is it mainly clothes that you said you give out these items to kids for their birthdays and things?
Mm-hmm.
You also get toys and clothes, or is it just clothes? Or
It's everything. So for an example, the holiday drive, we are not only providing monetary support to organizations such as Washoe Casa, which would allow those guys to take their Casa kids to do an activity, something fun that's engaging, like a little day date golfing, or whatever the activity is that the children would like to do. So we do those kinds of things, but then we also provide like a substantial amount of in-kind donations, whether it be hundreds of toiletries, blankets, stuffed animals, clothing. All of that comes in through our holiday donation drive, through local partnerships, or our aggressive efforts to get those donations in hand so that we can facilitate the programs that we would like to do. So it's a little bit of both. And then in the spring is a different situation. So a lot of times we are asking local schools and athletic departments what their needs are. Usually that needs to come in the form of monetary support. Sometimes we'll have the ability of just having a bunch of sports equipment available that we happen to be able to kind of add to the mix. So in the springtime, it's very much monetary donations. Fall, we do tons of school supplies along with the monetary donations. So it really just depends on what particular goal we're working on and what's entailed in it.
Gotcha. Well, you talked about the holiday drive, and we're going to talk about that more in the third section, because it's currently open. It's a current drive, and it runs through the 13th. So we'd like to talk about that later in the program.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it looks like you offer some other services or referrals, and some of it's like shelters and tutoring and mentoring and internships. Would you like to give us a little bit of overview about some of those other referral services that you have?
Absolutely. So I think what's really cool about the nature of our 3-cycle setup and our collaborative efforts is we're often kind of going into certain areas and engaging with groups that probably didn't know about us, but looking for active partnerships, going, hey, we're working with this foster kid demographic. You guys offer this resource. We'd love to have you involved, or able to set up a table to share more information. So in the respect that as we work with so many different groups and learn what their needs are and what they're doing, and a lot of times it's smaller groups that need our help, not so much the big guys who have a lot of funding coming in. It's kind of like just telephone a little bit, where I hear what they need, and then the next meeting I go to, or the next group that I'm speaking with, if I hear something that fits or connects, I'm connecting those guys with the groups that need them. So it's a matter of learning what the needs are, taking our ego out of it, because it doesn't necessarily mean Nevada Kids needs to facilitate. It just means we need to get them where they need to go. So a lot of times it's these really good relationships with these other directors, these other social workers and case managers, so that they can refer to us confidently, and we can also spread the word for their missions as well. Because sometimes it's like nobody knows that the both of us are here, but if we're both talking about each other and doing these events together, the word just gets out.
Yeah, well, it's networking, isn't it?
Yes.
To networking. I'm assuming then you have, there are probably people up there that know Nevada Kids Organization, and they might see a kid in trouble or a homeless kid, and they might not necessarily know to reach out to social services or might not want to reach out to them. If they call you and say, hey, I see this kid in trouble or homeless kid, how can you help them? You then refer them, or do you go meet the kid and take them to the appropriate service? Or
I would refer. I would go, well, let me look through who I know and then just directly connect them as best I can. That's kind of the cool thing for me is I wear a lot of hats in this role as it is. So the pressure to be an expert in all these different areas is tremendous, and we don't want to pretend that we are. So what's beautiful is we kind of just connect the dots, and we let the people who are already doing amazing programs here in the area, let them do the work that they're doing and just help their programs. So if someone's like, for example, Spread the Word is a wonderful organization that deals with literacy and all things books. We happen to have like 1,000 books that come in through our holiday donation drive. I'm not going to spend my time trying to figure out where to put these books. I'm going to give them to the organization that does the books. So in that sense, like, we don't want to duplicate services. We want everybody to know we're here for the just good of the community. We don't need to do or provide some like XYZ. We're happy to listen to what the need is and then figure out how to facilitate that.
Yes, I could. Well, apart from sorting out the 1,000 books, you then need somewhere to store it all. And I'm assuming
Yes.
you don't have a brick and mortar place where you store all this stuff, I'm assuming.
Right. We're working out of our founder, Tyler's shop. She has this beautiful shop in the back of her residence. So I'm so lucky to be able to kind of jam that full of our stuff throughout the year. But yeah, that's right. We don't have a tremendous space to hold items. And being such a small kind of a one-woman show as far as the day-to-day goes, I don't have the capacity to run a warehouse of things going in and out. So it doesn't serve us to sit on the items. It's good for us to take things. Another great example is we had a great organization that had an abundance of sleeping bags they needed to get rid of. So I'm thinking, okay, sleeping bags are great. We should take these, but we didn't necessarily have a group that needed 300 sleeping bags at the time. So we took them and we kind of stacked them up and worked around them as best we can. But then lo and behold, a few months later, there was another nonprofit putting a foster camp up in Tahoe on. They needed these sleeping bags. So we're like, hey, perfect. We've got these, like, let's give them to you. Let's work together. So that's kind of a little bit how we just piece things together as they come. I never know what my voicemails are going to be like at the end of the day, what's coming in. So it's just a way of creatively resourcing what we have access to and attaching it to people who know what to do with it.
Well, I tell you something. You guys are very, very creative, the two of you, and inspirational. And as you said, just things just come your way, and you deal with them. And it appears that you're finding ways to deal with anything that comes your way.
We're trying to.
Well, you're to be commended and congratulated for that. On that note, we're just going to take a brief sponsorship break. Please stay with us. We're going to be right back, everyone. Okay, Callie, welcome back, and thank you, viewers, for staying with us. And let's talk a little bit about volunteers. Now, there's only the two of you that are running this right now, and it's got to be overwhelming sometimes. Do you need volunteers at your fundraising events, or if somebody was watching this program, they thought, oh, I'd really like to get involved in that. Do you have volunteer opportunities open? Are you looking for more volunteers to be part of?
We do definitely have volunteer opportunities. And I think as we grow, the more and more are becoming more available and more community events that we can kind of have a lot of volunteers at. so far we've kept it pretty tight as far as people closest to our group. Our fundraisers are a lot and all year long. So we kind of tend to stick with people who are familiar with Tyler and I and kind of just the way we go about things. But with that being said, it is overwhelming. And as we take on new events, we have to learn how to extend and kind of trust the community to jump in and fill those needs as they come up. So what I would suggest is just reach out. Let us know what you're interested in. If there's a specific, like I love sports or I'm into this, we kind of just take a running list of volunteers. And then as the need comes up, I go plug into that list and think, okay, who's into this and what areas, and then kind of just go from there.
Wow. Well, and you're talking about some of your events. From what I could see, you've been pretty creative in your events and your fundraising. I see you've had cornhole tournaments. You had a poker tournament earlier this year in April. You had a back-to-school bowling tournament in August. You've had a holiday in SIP. And I think I saw on the website where you listed the amount of money you'd raised at each of these fundraisers. And not only are you creative, you're doing a good job of getting people to support these fundraisers. I mean,
We
do you
stay
have,
busy.
yes, it sounds like it. Do you have some corporate partners that helps fund the organization that you can reach out to every time? They'll always be there?
We have a few groups that have been really, really wonderful and loyal, and just believed in us from the beginning. I think at the start, it was a little bit scary, I think, for some people to jump in and go, I don't know what these girls are doing. Their mission seems kind of broad, like maybe they don't have it dialed in. But as we got going and showing, it's broad for a reason, my elevator pitch got better. So I think people are starting to really understand our dynamic and why it is unique. We're not your average nonprofit. We didn't start like your average nonprofit. And I've learned that we've not raised money like your average nonprofit. So our bread and butter is just reaching out to local businesses that make sense with what we're talking about. So if it's poker stuff, we're talking to a lot of guys that are, construction, different bigger groups that are kind of into that space. And then the sip and shop's more female oriented. So we kind of cater to different spas and different groups in that way. So I think just being smart about not asking everybody for money on every event and just really spreading out who we're creatively wanting to kind of engage with for each one has been helpful. But really it is just kind of a crapshoot. So every fundraising cycle, every 3 months, I start fresh and I'm like, okay, who's our go-tos that we can kind of rely on? And then we also need to fill the gaps with new donors. So it's just something new that we are after every cycle, nothing set in stone. We don't do big federal grant funding because we don't have manpower to sustain that type of reporting. So as we get bigger and have more staffing capability, we'll go after those. But for now, it's local sponsorships, small community grants, and just kind of putting it all together and seeing how far it can go.
Wow. Do you plan to expand the organization where you do get more people on board, or you've got your full fundraisers a year and you're going to keep at that level?
I think the reality for us is that we have to bring on some staff and higher level admin to just help sustain. Tyler and I did such a good job of like getting these events there. Every event we've done is an annual. So we're looking at third annual for our cornhole, poker, and all of the things. This is our fourth for the holiday drive. So I think we know what we're doing and how we're going to raise money. So I think now it's the goal to be able to efficiently sustain it and get bigger. We need a bigger space. And then from there is the exciting part, because then we can really focus on the programs and not so much the raising of the money each ticket sold,
Yes. Well, you said that when you started out, it was a little bit difficult because people weren't sure where you were going. But I think what was nice, what you did your research and you said you reached out to find out what holes needed plugging up.
Mm-hmm.
And you spent that time up front before just jumping in. So that's probably what made it look like you didn't know what you were doing, but you were probably pretty smart in the way you approached
I think it
starting.
was cool too. Yeah, I think it was cool too to not come from, as much as I have my imposter syndrome that just kicks in just randomly. It was cool now that I look back to not have such a jaded opinion going into these meetings at the beginning. I didn't know what to expect. I was just completely a sponge, just soaking everything in. And I'm born and raised here too. So I think there's a really cool aspect of going into a group and rustling feathers, but not in a negative way, going, okay, we have some struggles here. Like, how can we mix things up so that this looks different? And then we can kind of change the course going forward. So I love that we play that role, kind of mixing up the status quo, going, this isn't working. We'd love to collaborate. We'd love to bring parties into like-minded parties that can impact this and see what cool things we can come up with. We're not here to do what's already been done.
No, it sounds like you've plugged up quite a few holes here in more ways than one. I'd like to spend the rest of this program, Callie, talking about your Making Spirits Brighter event that, as I alluded to earlier, apparently it's a currently running program and you're looking for donations through December the 13th.
Yes.
And I see there's all kinds of things that you need, and you're looking for items for children ages 0 or newborns to 18. And would you like to share with our viewers some of the items that you're looking for?
So this drive is also creative in the way it takes shape. We have a lot of local businesses that have either our custom angel ornaments that are tagged with specifics like an age or gender and a specific item, like a Lego set or something that we're asking for. And then on the flip side, they can also have a donation bin that's collecting items from that bulk list that you had mentioned. I mean, we're asking from everything from warm clothes, shoes, socks, toiletries, bed in a bags, blankets, stuffed animals. Monetary support is also critical because the nature of these drives is you never know what's coming in. And sometimes we're really pleasantly surprised. And sometimes we're like, oh, yikes, we're going to need to fill in the gap here. So all of it comes together in the most beautiful way to make either a Christmas care package, help us facilitate one of the give back events that we have, these private events that we cater to these kids with. So everything comes into the pot and we creatively sort it and figure out what needs to go where. So all those items are of need. The age groups is wide because it's all youth that we support. So we try to just hit them all and figure out, okay, what's the basics of these necessities, and we just go for those asks.
Well, and I see on the list too, when you talk about clothes, thinking of the newborns, I see one of the first items on your list is diapers, formula, and wipes. So we can't forget out the little newborns as well.
Yeah.
And also, you've got transportation passes.
Yes.
So,
all those things come directly from various shelters where we've sat down and go, what is your guys' need? And these aren't just holiday needs, these are year-round needs. So what's cool for us is it's not something that's just great for these 2 months. It's like these items sustain them year-round. And if they aren't packaged into an actual, like, we call them Christmas care package, but if they're not given out to the children during this holiday season, they're stored and efficiently provided to the shelters and foster homes to distribute throughout the year. So it helps all year long, these items. It's not just a holiday thing.
Oh, sounds like it. And hey, when people are in the mood for giving, as you said, things like transportation passes, you can stack up and keep, and they don't take too much space either.
Yeah, gift cards. Gift cards are so important too, because also the older kids are kind of tough to shop for. You can't really get the items as easily as the little guys. So the gift cards are great because it allows them some freedom to choose what they like. And it's just a little seed of hope for these kids that don't get a lot of brightness throughout their days.
I think it's amazing what you and Tyler are doing. Callie, thank you so much for being on this program. Before we leave, would you like to give out the website information and email address or phone number, any contact information, where people
Absolutely.
can learn more about New Kids Foundation?
Absolutely. So we're just at Nevada Kids Foundation, all spelled out, .org. You can email me directly. It's director@nevadakidsfoundation.org. You can call me, text me. We're all social media friendly. So my phone number is 775-741-0398. And all that's listed on our website. So reach out to us. We want to hear what needs the community has. And also if you want to help us fill those needs. We need help every which way.
There you go. Thank you again, Kelly. Wishing you continued success with your program. You and Tyler, I think you're doing amazing work up there. You truly are making a difference, a huge, huge difference, to be commended for your initiative and your inspiration and for giving back to the community.
Thank you. It's a
for being
pleasure.
with us today. And I'd also like to thank John Stars, the show's producer and station owner, WWDBTV. Certainly like to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. And if you're living up in that area, in the Reno Sparks area or in that neighboring community, and you know somebody who would like to donate or help out with these events, give money, if you'd like to do it yourself, please share this interview with anyone you know. It would certainly be greatly appreciated, especially at this time of the year. If you have any questions or comments on this program, please reach out to me at stephen@thegiftofgiving.vegas. And I certainly would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge and thank most sincerely our sponsors. We wouldn't have a show without them. They're Priority Wealth Partners, Pacific Coast Capital, the Firelight Barn, and Ralph John Champion, whose message you'll hear right at the end of this program. Thank you for being with us again. Please stay safe, be kind to one another, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Mr. R.J. Champion is proud to sponsor WWDB-TV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.